Welcome back to Junction 119. This is Casen.
This is Kellan. Nice hat, bro.
Thanks. I actually kind of had to stop myself from saying this is Kellan because I haven't brought us in for a while. So I'm so used to it just saying Kellan first.
Yeah. Unlike the Walmart Buckeye on our show, I actually went to the school, the hat that I have on. I had to rep sorry, catching strays immediately.
I have spent multiple nights in the dorms on campus. I feel like that should count for something.
Okay,
I
yeah, that counts for a little something. Not at all.
and I
But
illegally used somebody's Buck ID to eat at their dining room one time.
oh, there you go.
So, you
That's
know,
a little something. I had to rep this. This is my favorite Syracuse hat I own. I obviously have to rep Syracuse based on what happened this past weekend.
uh-huh.
It's going to be Saturday by the time you hear this show. So Kason and I are definitely going to be probably more previewing what's coming up rather than talk about what happened when it comes to actually talking about the week of college football. But we're going to be talking more football, more NFL, more college, just as the year rolls on, I should say. But we begin with pop culture, and we're going to talk a little bit of baseball as well. You ready to dive in, bro?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So I brought this to Cason's attention because I wanted to talk about a pop culture topic because we are, a bit of a comic book show in that regard, more than just pop culture. We do specify on things Marvel, but I didn't realize that this happened until the day after it came out. But there was a PlayStation State of Play this week in which actual gameplay for Insomniac's Marvel's Wolverine uh, for the PlayStation 5 was full on released in all of its bloody glory. I'll let you go check a look at that on your own. But I sent the trailer to Case and I said, I just kind of want to talk about it to open the show. What was your immediate reaction to it? You seemed pretty startled, actually.
I was a little surprised just because I wasn't expecting like Mortal Kombat meets like Marvel. So I
Level
the
violence.
extreme graphicness definitely was a little shocking to me. And welcomed, by the way. I mean,
Oh
welcomed.
yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
I mean, that's been the fascinating thing about Wolverine. If you're not aware, this is a game that Insomniac teased a while ago, and to be real, it's supposed to come out a year from now. Literally next fall, 2026 is when it's supposed to release on the PlayStation 5 exclusively. And then, of course, I'm sure over time it'll make its way to everything, sort of like Spider-Man has. It's set in the same universe as the Spider-Man video games they came out with. But, Kason, were you familiar at all with the massive hack that they suffered at Insomniac like 2 years ago?
No.
So they had a ransomware group. This was I want to say around December. It was like November, December 2023. Insomniac had a whole lot of data leaked, and they've never actually said openly like how much got leaked, but a lot of gameplay footage of this exact game, Wolverine, was leaked. Like
Mhm.
I saw the videos; they were just on social media. Um, and it looked cool even then, but like it was like startling to see how much that this ransomware group had, I guess, gotten in that regard. And by all accounts, it also affected the release of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 because Marvel Spider-Man 2 never got any DLC like the first game did. There was a whole chapter of DLC that they released for the first game. They never released anything else for Spider-Man 2. And when they teased it, they definitely teased it within the main line of the story of the game. So, by all accounts, this was a really damaging thing that happened to Insomniac Games. So much so that I thought that this whole game might end up getting scrapped. I'm dead serious, but apparently that didn't happen. They went back to the drawing board. They redid some things. They probably threw out all that gameplay stuff that we saw. Set a couple of the settings look similar, but um, a couple of gameplay videos does not ruin a polished product. You know what I mean? And that's why I look at when this trailer dropped, I thought, okay, like hats off to you guys for saying no, we're gonna keep going, we're gonna make it, perfect it, and release it. Um, and I just wanted to make sure I said that for the audience as well, that I was pleasantly surprised that oh, not only is it coming out, it's coming out like within a pretty you know close window to when that hack happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Wolverine's as a character, we know his world is very violent. We know his backstory is very tragic. He's probably a top four character in terms of popularity in all of comic books, let alone like especially Marvel. He's easily top four.
Hmm.
I could probably put him top five in terms of most popular comic book heroes. And he lends himself very well to a video game. Now, if you're wondering, for anyone who's ever seen the movie Logan, what he's able to do to people, they've never really been able to show on screen fully with that hard R rating, um, beyond just a couple of times. Most recently, Deadpool and Wolverine, literally. We saw it last calendar year. And there was a video game, Casen, that came out a long time ago that was the video game for X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was a rated M game. And I played that game, and I remember thinking to myself, this is the first time that I've ever seen this kind of like realism of what it would be like if, Wolverine was actually going at, soldiers and stuff. It looks like that's going to be a lot of this game. Delving with things going on with the X-Men. Apparently, the game's going to take you to Tokyo, to Canada, to something, and it sounds like this might be a situation in which the X-Men are already established because if you're not familiar with the Spider-Man games, all the heroes are well into their existence. Like it's an established Marvel universe.
Hmm.
The cool thing about it is that it sounds like this is one of those things where something from his past comes around and Logan's got to go off and deal with it. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I just didn't know if, what more thoughts you might have on the whole trailer, the fact that this is even coming out, any of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that it's awesome that it's coming out. I think it's a good time. Obviously, I probably earlier to capture like the hype of the Deadpool Wolverine movie probably would have been their goal. But,
Maybe dropping
being
this year.
yeah, yeah. But I mean Wolverine definitely beloved character, and I think that the the unique nature of like his fighting style with the claws is definitely like super video game friendly. And so I'm excited to see, what it's like. And I was just looking because I was trying to figure out because I remember having played uh I want to say it was like X-Men Legends or X-Men Legends 2 on like the GameCube
Hmm.
forever ago, and I remember that game. And um just that kind of universe with that, but which with much better graphics um is going to be very very fun, I think, for
I
sure.
agree. When I think of the realistic, and I'm not saying it's bloody and gory for the sake of it being that case. It's realistic. Okay, it's like
Hmm.
how we describe things in like when we're talking about like Daredevil. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
if a guy actually had these abilities that Logan has, right? And my thing about it is, like it with his fighting style, yes, but some of his coolest stories actually involve his whole Japanese like background and how he's dealt with that. Obviously, we got like one movie out of that, The Wolverine, where he like
Hmm.
actually goes to Japan and everything. I would imagine there might be some sword fighting sequences in this game too that might be pretty sweet. Because he's good at that too. Or I'm curious to see what lore they build on because the way that Insomniac has set up their like Insomniverse or whatever they're calling it, they can kind of go any direction they want.
Yeah.
Literally, Mystique is shown in the trailer too, so I'm like, oh, I mean, I assume we'll probably see some Brotherhood of Mutants people up in here, and I would welcome a cameo of whatever this version, whatever this universe is, Charles Xavier or Eric Lancher looks like, Magneto. So yeah, I'm excited, very excited. It's only a year from now.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I just kind of wanted to throw it out there, hear your thoughts on it. I also, I don't know, I really commend Insomniac for sticking with it, mainly just because it probably did delay its release, like you said, but I also think that there's going to be enough time removed from the release of Spider-Man 2, which was a good game, but by all accounts was not as good as the first one, which story wise, I would actually agree with that. It was a great game. It's a great game. I've replayed it a few times, but um, it didn't go anywhere near as far as I think they could have. and it really makes me wonder how much of that might have been the hack that they suffered. But
Mhm.
Insomniac's still here; they're still killing it. So that's what I got. Any final thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Uh, no, I think we covered that.
Sweet, sweet. So moving on to the what we're here for, to some degree, moving into sports. I it involves one of your teams, which I know you're not as like necessarily plugged into what's going on with baseball, but this literally this weekend, the weekend that we are going into, by the time this happens, the regular season's coming to a close, and my feed, especially with all the friends that we have that are both Detroit Tigers and Cleveland Guardians fans, have only been talking about the collapse of the Detroit Tigers over the last
Mhm.
month or so. If you're not familiar, in July, early July, the Tigers had a 15-game lead in first place in the AL Central. That has now evaporated and has been a lot of cause for the direct losing to the Guardians uh, over the last month. You've been following any of this? It's kind of impossible to ignore, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did sort of check out for a little bit in there when it looked like the Guardian season was done. And then as they've been inching closer and closer, I've been like, "Oh, okay. Okay." And then there was the big series between them this week. And now as of today, which we're filming on Friday, and they're tied
Yep.
and they both have, I think, 3 games left to play. The Tigers have a series against the Red Sox, and the Guardians have a series against the Rangers. So basically, the Guardians just need to win more against the Rangers than the Tigers win against the Red Sox, which I think is more likely than you would
Well,
you'd
right.
think.
Right. And, I think it was all kind of summed up in, I want to say it was game one of the series that the Guardians and Tigers just wrapped up earlier this week, where I couldn't believe what I saw. Tyreek Skubal hiking a baseball through his legs, going right over the head of his first baseman. And I'm like, if they missed the postseason, that's going to be played and replayed and replayed for the next X amount of years. Um,
Mhm.
I will say, if you're like me, dude, I kept seeing memes every night on everyone's socials of like, oh, it's always like the Undertaker meme where he's like coming up and it's like, oh, it's the Guardians again. Um, and I was like, oh wow, this is like bad if you're a Detroit fan.
Yeah, yeah. I don't wanna, rub it in the wounds of, people like our friend James, but so I remember, he had some lofty predictions for the Tigers this year. And I mean in July they weren't looking that bad of
Most of the
predictions.
year it looked good. Yeah.
But I think if I remember what he said correctly, I think that he was trying to say that the experience that they had last postseason was going to fuel them this year. And I think the fault with that premise was assuming that they actually were experienced enough to learn from that. And I think that like this is a reminder that they are still a very inexperienced team when it comes to those moments. I
Well,
mean, because like it's just and who knows what next season can hold, but it's just you have these moments where the team just absolutely melts down and you cannot get the train back on the tracks
and
and
this time of year too, it's sort of like and I just feel like in baseball, it's such a long season that when one facet of the game starts to unwind, everything starts to unwind. And, James did mention that, an Achilles heel potential would be their bullpen. I mean, I feel like every time that the Detroit Tigers have struggled down the stretch, like 9 times out of 10, James would always say it's a bullpen. I actually did, real quick, I actually did reach out to friend of the show, James, ahead of today's recording, just to ask him if he would have any take. We do plan to bring James back for October when we hit postseason, probably deeper into postseason based on how wonky October could be. But I did ask him, and I said I'd read this on the air, so I'll just read it real quick. I did ask him, he said, I wish I could lay out something nicely, but without knowing how the season ends yet, it's difficult to know exactly like what I'll make of everything yet. And I understand that because we don't know the season's not over yet, so we don't know if this is like a collapse or not. Let me continue reading. You get 2 more quick paragraphs here. From a Tigers fan point of view, I am hoping that they at least sneak into the playoffs because it would kind of make the collapse more of a footnote if they ended up in the same round of the playoffs that they would have anyway. Overall, it's certainly been insane the last 2 years seeing both sides of the spectrum from an unexplicable late season run to something like this. Which, if you recall, it was the complete opposite story last year, and I was like,
Mm.
he's right, he's right. Like as a fan, this has got to be like, oh, like we went on that run, like what the Guardians are doing this season is what the Tigers were doing last season, if you recall. Just,
Yeah.
absolutely turning it on at the very end and bulldozing their way into the postseason. And it seemed, and to go from that to this in 1 year just goes to show how weird baseball can be. But thoughts to what
Yeah.
James said.
No, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, I think there is an avenue of like, we'll see. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Guardians could get swept by the Rangers, and
Right.
the Tigers could end up winning the pennant anyway. Who knows? But, uh, yeah, I mean, it's I think I think that there is something to be said about just about the vibes. Like you never want to limp into the postseason
Mm-mm.
because like that's gonna, whether or not that's the wild card round or it's just you don't want to have to deal with a lot of questions in the clubhouse hounding you into a postseason matchup
I agree.
because then you could just be, lay an egg out there and then your season's over.
You'll just be
So
ice cold. Yeah.
right, right. So you definitely want to try and be peaking at the right time, which is where, the Tigers Guardians matchup last year came into play and they benefited from that. And I think obviously, you can't just like push the button to peak at the right time. So there's
Right.
a lot of like, you know, swirling of different events and things into an equation that sort of amount to how your season goes. And it's tough. I mean, because like you can't say like you don't want to be peaking in July, but like because like if you're peaking in July, you could just never like let go and just be, the the Dodgers of a couple years ago that won like what it was like 111 games or whatever, they won like a ton of games that one year. Like you could just, be really good and dominate everybody, or you could, fall off a cliff and like
Well, right.
barely make
And
the postseason. So it's just kind of tough of like,
and it's such a long season. Just for the record, like the AL has not one but two incredible races going on here because both the Toronto Blue Jays and Yankees in the AL East both have clinched a playoff berth. They have the
yeah,
same record up in their division, 91 and 68. So this weekend will literally determine who wins the division, but both are in the postseason. Quite literally, it's looking increasingly more like. I mean, there's only two spots left. It's either going to be the Guardians, Tigers, both, or it's going to be the Astros. Those are the three teams
mm,
in play for the last spots. And so whatever happens in the last bit here, your wild card it's looking like the AL wild card on the one side could be insane. It really could be
yeah,
crazy. And it literally starting tonight. I mean, by the time that you hear this show, it'll be one game into the series, and the polls will have moved a little bit. But I mean, this is about as good a photo. Objectively, as someone who does not have a dog in the fight. As an O's and Pirates fan, I never have a dog in the fight this time of year. Uh, um, the This is about as fun a final weekend you could ask for, rolling right into what, in my opinion, is the best month in sports. But just for point of reference, the Guardians and Tigers both, as of Friday evening, sit both 86 and 73. So it literally, legitimately is going to come down to whoever can close it out the best. Um, I'm not going to sit here and make a prediction. I really don't know. I like to think that the Guardians are going to want to close the deal, having climbed all the way out of this hole. I also can see the Tigers saying, "Look, the Tigers did win for the first time, and I want to say like 10 games or something crazy. Um, they did win on Thursday evening, so we're headed to a photo finish. And by literally our next show, we'll obviously have the postseason bracket set, but." Yeah, man, it just goes to show like you really have to bring it like, all 8 months of the year. I mean, it really is crazy what it takes.
yeah. I mean, I think that. essentially the gist is I think it's curious of uh just how important it is to be able to have a manager that can keep you steady throughout the year.
Hmm.
Because like how many times have we seen, teams fall off the cliff um in July and the manager's fired, and it's just so it's tough with that. And I think every season is unique,
Hmm.
and I think it's interesting to see sort of the experiences that with a team like the Tigers, like we talked about. With last season, it was the other way, and this season it's this way. So just what I'm curious how that turns into next season.
Right.
Like,
I
if they do end up missing the postseason,
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how the team responds next year.
I'm personally sitting here hoping that we're sitting here, by the time James is on here and we're not eulogizing one of these two teams. It would be cool if both could make it in some way somehow, and they're able to keep stave off the Astros, they as in the Tigers. I will say, a story that we did kind of like briefly touch on. If you told me back in June when Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz got popped for betting that this was going to be the end of the Guardians season, I would not have believed you. Which just goes to show that perhaps it's the Guardians with their recent postseason experience that are really like, oh, it's close to October. Well, let's turn it on. Let's just dig out of this and keep playing as well as we can and heat up. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they were the squad that really had the experience to do something like this a year later. So hard to say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and like I think there is something, I you still have some people in that building that have been around for a lot of successful postseason runs.
100%.
And so I think, you know, there is something to be said about that, of it's just kind of the vibes in the building, and the experience, and the ability for a lot of the older veterans to kind of rally the team around them,
For sure.
um and really get the shift in the season.
Uh, this message goes directly to our friend Jim Nod, the baseball guy, James Nahikian. For what it's worth, I'm pulling for both your teams, yours and yours, Casen. I really am. I don't want to see. I actually think it was a lot of fun because if you recall last year, the game was actually going on when we were recording that show.
Yeah, yeah,
And I just think that like the rivalry between those two and how fun these two clubs have made that division every year here. Two teams who I genuinely do support when they're not playing each other, just because I have so many friends who are both Detroit Tigers fans and Guardians fans, and of course, friend of the show Matt also is a Tigers fan. I mean, we know multiple people who are friends who are fans of both of these two clubs. So, um, I'm looking forward to this weekend, seeing what happens
yeah,
in the
absolutely.
diamond as we flip to October. Speaking of that, it's time to discuss some ball because we're gonna start with talking about straight up a coach firing that happened this past week because it does have a little bit of a personal connection to me. Um, we sat here and had a pretty sizable discussion about Mike Gundy last week,
Hmm.
and within quite literally what 48 hours of our show being recorded last Friday night, so literally a week ago, the night we're recording this, the Tulsa Golden Hurricane rolled into Stillwater and beat the Cowboys of Oklahoma State 19-12 behind my former coworker Trey Lamb, the head coach, who, if you're not familiar, was the head coach of Gardner Webb football when I was employed there, and once upon a time was on something of a first name basis with me. I remember thinking, and quite frankly, he's only like 4 or 5 years older than me. So, I mean, really, like being that close in age and everything, it was really cool to talk to him about stuff like ball and just kind of hear how stuff was going at an FCS school. And he really did love his time there. He was a dog there, pun intended. Um, and then he went to East Tennessee State for a year, and now he's at Tulsa. And my mom was actually visiting, and we were watching the beginning of this game, and she didn't realize that he was at Tulsa. And I'm like, yeah, so I'm like straight up just rooting for Trey Lamb in Tulsa to win this game, which they
I
did.
look,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to Gundy in a second, but I
Hmm.
mean, on that subject, I don't think he's going to be at Tulsa very long. Because from what I've heard and
Yeah.
people's reaction to him there is he is a hot name, and he is, and especially with him fire like him basically being the death blow to Gundy. I think we joked about it too. There is a non-zero chance that he's right back in Stillwater next year.
You you texted that because I texted you in the group and you said to the fact I hope he took a good look around the facility while he was there because it might be his here in like a few months. And I was like, I mean, I for me going from like an old head who was there for so long and good for him. He did great stuff while he was there, and a longevity you just don't see anymore. I
Yeah.
guess Ferentz at Iowa is now the only tenured coach because he's been there since like 1999 or something. That just doesn't
Yeah.
happen, especially in this day and age. And like you said, we talked about how the game may have passed him by and everything. I still think there can be a breaking of bread thing there that can happen, barring he doesn't immediately go and coach somewhere else, which he may not do. I mean, what, he's 50.
I
You said that last week.
there was a I don't know if this is true or whatever. I saw a quote from his brother
Hmm.
that said that he's still interested in coaching somewhere.
Okay.
So I don't know. I
He's
have no idea.
58. He could definitely coach. He could have a no, whole another chapter here. Like he
Yeah.
really could. Would I take a chance on a Mike Gundy? I'd be quicker to take a chance on him potentially than, well, I was going to say than Dabo, but that we'll get to that.
Well,
We'll
I
get
mean,
to that.
if I was like a like a group of five school, like I would hire Gundy for like the press of it, and
What if
it
Trey and
like
Mike Gundy just switch
so,
places?
yeah, that would be so funny.
Like, I don't really feel like going that far away from Stillwater. Hey,
Yeah,
Tulsa's got a vacancy. Oh, Trey is just going to go to my old job.
yeah,
But that is funny. Like you go from like the old head who was there for so long to a young up and coming guy. Like I mean, legitimately, I'm one of those people that says, "Listen, Tulsa, I hope they get more than 1 year out of him, like objectively, because he seems to really be going that way." But like for a dude who just spent 1 year at East Tennessee State and who I genuinely think is a rock star, like I would hire Trey Lamb right now. Like maybe not like at a massive power forward, not with like shoes to fill like a Florida per se, but Oklahoma State would actually kind of be perfect.
yeah, yeah,
Or like another Big 12 program. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, you know,
That's about like the perfect spot.
yeah, yeah, like that's like the perfect spot. Kind of down on their luck. He understands the area. He will have had a year recruiting in the area. He's a Southern guy, but he's also kind of that style of play. He was a Gardner Webb as well.
And
Yeah,
with a guy like with a guy like him coming from Gardner Webb, East Tennessee, Tulsa, he has a lot of experience in programs making do with lesser resources.
correct.
And at a school like Oklahoma State where you're guaranteed to be the little brother 100% of the time, like you having experience knowing how to, make less go farther in terms of resources and recruiting ability, like that's a huge thing. That's a huge
Hmm.
trait. And so I'm curious to see on if they do go that direction because that would be fun. And
The one downside I can see is that he is a bit on the young side, which I'm sorry, in college football in 2025, that should be looked at as an asset. He's
yeah,
not that far away from the age of the players. When I say that, he's about a 15-year difference, 15, 16, 17-year difference in age. That's kind of perfect to me. He can be both a disciplinarian and a player's coach, kind of. Plus, he only knows this current landscape of NIL, transfer portal. So,
I
yeah.
mean, what is he like 35? If you're
I
if
believe he is 36 or 37.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they said on the
If
broadcast.
if
Yeah.
you're mid 30s as a college coach, like that's about perfect.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
that's
Right
just where
now.
you're going. I mean, we
Right now. Yep.
remember like we remember when Sean Lewis was hired
Hmm.
at Kent. I think he was 31 at the time, maybe. I mean, so
That's a bit young. That's as old as I am
everything
now. I think he was older than
everything's
that.
trending that direction.
But yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
As for
so I
Gundy,
think yeah,
yes,
going to the Gundy perspective of it, I was a little surprised. I mean,
that they did it
I get
mid-season.
yeah, I was a little surprised
Yeah.
that they did it just because you'd think that like 25 years would have earned him the courtesy of playing out the rest of the season
Right.
rather than just getting like fired before October. But I mean, losing like that to Tulsa, I can understand. It's because it's like at what point do you need to just stop the bleeding and like because like we talked about it when the Virginia Tech firing happened, and it's just like you want to jump and be the first opening on the board
Hmm.
to like let candidates know that you're free, you're available, and so you can start like finding options.
And it's
And
been in
so
the first time in 25 years that this job is open.
yeah, and
So
I think it's tough because I do feel there probably is a lot of frustration on his end and maybe betrayal
yeah,
to some extent because like you'd think in his mind he probably felt like he was owed the opportunity to fix it and turn the season around, and not getting that benefit of the doubt after being there for so long. uh yeah, I mean that's definitely
and
probably
and if you
hurtful.
look at it, I mean, Oklahoma State's been on a bit of a downward slope. I mean, they
Yeah.
haven't particularly been great since like really the exiting of Mason Rudolph. And the thing about it is, this tells me that what you just said is correct. Additionally, things may not have been that great behind the scenes. Like I just
No,
this
no.
screams like probably lost a locker room, or quite frankly, never had it this season. As you kind of
Which,
alluded to
yeah.
last week. Go ahead. Yep.
Well, yeah, which I would we said at the beginning that like we thought his seat was like on fire in July,
Yeah.
like that
We
that
yeah.
they had to come out looking good in order for him to not get fired. And so yeah, I mean it's not surprising in the fact that I think we all thought this was going to end this way, but it is surprising that like here we are, not even
Not
October,
even
and
October.
and this guy who spent almost his entire adult life there, like, is just gone.
Yeah, he's
It is
out.
kind of sudden and
It is
shocking.
sudden, and we did predict though last week there's gonna be a lot of coach firings this year. There's gonna be it's just a different environment now.
I was just gonna say that too. Of like with the schedule,
Hmm.
the way it is with the transfer portal
Yep.
opening cycle, and just the way that coaching hiring happens now, is firings are going to be happening earlier and earlier and earlier
Yep.
because schools and presidents and athletic directors and recruiting companies, whatever companies, whatever
Search
you want to
committees.
call them,
Yeah. The companies. Yep.
um, they need to be, they need to have the most amount of time that they can have possible. They need to get an earliest start possible. And so this comes to my question of just like, then what are we doing here? Like, if if
Yeah.
if if you know that you don't like your coach, and that as long as he doesn't come out and like win every game to open the season, that he's gone, then why is he even there? Like, I almost would think that coaches would probably want to have a shorter leash than like have to deal with this getting fired in September thing
Right.
if they don't go undefeated in their non-conference schedule. Like, it's outrageous.
It is, and maybe it's kind of looked at as like you do the math of we're going to punt on the season versus this. I mean, there's two other coaches right now that we talked about last week that I look at their situation very similarly to Mike Gundy's, but I also think they've hamstrung themselves, like Fickle at Wisconsin,
Yeah.
losing to Maryland this past week. I was looking at their schedule. They legitimately may not win another game this year, but
Oh,
but they but but they
yeah,
hogtied themselves
yeah.
with giving him that extension, and it was just like, well, now the buyout's just ridiculous, and it's like this really looks bad. And I'm like, well, if Gundy's getting fired, maybe him, maybe Napier, maybe these other guys. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I had Fickham on my notes too. I was shocked when I saw their schedule, and I was like,
Oh, dude.
oh no.
Oh,
No.
it's ridiculous.
I
Like,
was like trying to find another win, and I was like, I don't think it's gonna happen.
and
And so
yeah, yeah.
I don't get how they like don't fire him, but they can't because of the money.
Unless
And
they
it's
have
like
to, listen, they're a Big Ten school. They have deep pockets. They care. And again, I feel bad for Luke Fickle, but the reality of the situation is, it seems like he came in and made every wrong decision, and for it to look this bad in his third year, this quickly, again, the way that he's nosedived to that program this fast, I'm sitting over here like, I feel like just to show continuity with your fans and show you that you still care about football, you need to do something by the end of the year. And I think you use the rest of this season finding the money to make it happen, quite frankly.
yeah.
Um, I, I, and I'm not a believer in like, oh, they may not have the money to do it. There's always the money to do it. They just have to find it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer of that. Not in 2025. There's always someone who can
Also,
come out of the woodwork
like,
and do that.
for the record, like, I know this is easy for me to say,
Yeah.
but if I was somebody like Fickle and I was staring down the barrel of a 2-10 season,
Mm.
and I was, I don't, do you know the number on his buyout? I don't.
I do. I do not. You
I don't.
can.
Okay,
I'll look it
so
up.
let's just say his buyout is like, I don't know, 50 million, just use a round number. Let's just say his buyout is 50 million. I would have a conversation with the athletic director and be like, look, I know you guys don't want to pay it. I know you can't pay it. I'll take 30 to walk now. Like, I don't want to coach. I don't want to be
Mm.
here. Like, this makes me
Uh,
look bad.
it would be 25 million at the end of this year.
Okay, yeah, 50 felt high. But yeah, so I I'm curious on if more coaches are gonna like negotiate to just quit and get out of town.
Oh, to have like an exit
Yeah,
clause in
just
the
be like,
contract.
I don't want to coach anymore.
Like if you like if it so comes the time that I'm doing so bad, or at least you think I'm doing so bad, you can pay whatever my current buyout is, 5 million over that. Pay me on the spot. I will walk. Here, take the keys. I'm done. I'm out of here. That's
Yeah.
crazy though. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. And
Well,
I would
I mean,
think.
yeah, I was just saying because it's
I
like
mean, you know.
I wouldn't like I was more so saying like take less
Mhm.
because I wouldn't want to come into work knowing that like I'm about to get like tomatoed from the stands
Or
from
right, and
everybody in Madison. Like,
right, and that and listen, we're not trying to make light on people getting fired, but it is the business, and these coaches make a lot of money.
yeah, I don't have any sympathy for somebody who gets paid $20 million to
Right.
not work.
But and that being said, I think a lot of that sympathies ran out for a lot of the players nowadays too, with so many of them making as much as they are. Because it's, at the end of the day, it's like now you can look at a college roster and be like, okay, you guys aren't working hard enough either. So I don't know. Um,
There is a just a shorter. I want to touch on this quickly because I do at least
sure,
want to bring it up because it's something to be brought up, and
because I'm going to transition to Dabo with this.
maybe this is actually probably a good transition topic too.
Okay.
Um, I'm genuinely curious on how big of an impact the money is making on these players
Mm.
because I've seen it more and more that these kids don't care about working hard. They don't care about the wins and losses. All
Mm.
they care about is their check from Don's Toyota that they're getting paid or whatever. Like they're off making
From the
TikTok
collectives.
dances in the locker room. They're not and because as long as they're getting paid, they don't care if they're winning or not. And
And
it's definitely
yeah.
bizarre.
Well,
Like
and
it's
the other
definitely
thing is,
bizarre.
it's bizarre. I would also add, like, what does coaching discipline look like in 2025 and going forward when you probably can't like do some of the stuff you used to be able to do, for better or for worse. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, anything illegal, but I am saying along the lines of like, if someone doesn't work harder, okay, well, and they get upset and you upset someone, they're going to leave. And
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, I'll go somewhere where I can do this stuff. I mean, it's where I can goof off a little bit more. And also, when you add to that, Casen, the fact that you've now made a playoff system in which we can afford to lose 2 or 3 games and make it in because we're so and
Right.
so. Like
Right.
when you factor all of that in together, there isn't the same urgency there once was in that sense, at least in the players' minds. And I do get it. I mean, I do genuinely understand it. And how many times have we talked about it in professional sports that maybe sometimes the worst thing that can happen for someone who's playing really well is to get that big bag because they immediately don't play as well because they're
I
not gung hoing for that
you
contract
see it
anymore.
you
You
see it
see it
all
all
the
the time,
time. You see it
all
all
the
the
time.
time with NFL quarterbacks and stuff.
Hmm.
If they play out of their minds in their contract year, get the biggest extension in the history of quarterbacks, and then they play like garbage for 2 years.
Yep. Which it's always telling the ones who don't do that. There's plenty of
Yeah,
examples of that too. But most recently, I was thinking about, and he has come back in a big way. Boswell, the year after he got a big
yeah.
extension, he immediately wasn't as good the following year, and he has since worked back up to that because I think even he got the message of, "Hey, we noticed you're not as good, man." Like the you can't stick around in the NFL. That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah,
But I
and
think
I
that's going
think
on with these players. You're right.
I think there's a question of like, like your Ohio States are always going to be, I think, motivated because they're in the elite tier of we are, you know, championship caliber. We have to win the game because we can and we, are able to.
And we're
But
going
when
to
you're
the
looking,
league.
but
We're for sure going to the league. Yep.
exactly when you're looking at a program like Wisconsin,
Mm,
what is your motivation?
yeah.
Because you know at the beginning of the season you're probably not making the playoff. So what is the point of doing anything?
Right. I
Like
mean,
why am
especially,
I playing 12 games
yeah,
to
especially,
not do anything?
or like at Oklahoma State, when you come out of the gate, you win barely against UT Martin, you get your doors blown off by Oregon, and then you lose to Tulsa at home. It's like, okay, well, the season's over. Like, I mean, you look around, and it's just like it's hard to if even for the good coaches, it's hard to get into someone's face and be like, "You're gonna quit on the season on me." It's so in the heart of hearts, it's like, "No, coach, I'm not going to do that." In your heart of hearts, it's like, yeah, because
Yeah,
I'm not getting myself hurt to go 3-10, So
the essentially to
three
to
and
to
nine or whatever.
summarize like
So
my main
anyway, yeah.
topic is just like we talked about at the time when the playoff expanded of like that it opened up so that there's probably 20 teams now that are in a conversation. And so
Yep.
it made who's in talks of actually being able to do anything in December bigger. But what that meant was everybody after that is a lot more watered down and a lot
Mm-hmm.
more worthless
Yes.
as far as what they're playing for. And so you run into situations like this to where teams don't care coming into the season because they know they're not going to do anything. And so what do they have to play for if they know they're not going to do anything?
Yep.
And like playing to make a bowl doesn't mean anything when like, oh, congrats, you're gonna be in the Gasparilla Bowl or the
Yeah, you're gonna be in
like
your
like like
consolation game.
who cares?
I
And so
agree.
I think to an extent it's a little unfair to hold coaches necessarily entirely
Responsible.
responsible for a societal systemic problem that the NCAA caused.
Caused,
Like,
and not to mention just all of the stakeholders that have anything to do with college football that have like, and I keep looking around and I keep thinking to myself, listen, the obsession, and this kind of goes across the board for every sport, industry, whatever. Your constant obsession with trying to generate obscene amounts of money is probably not going to lead to the best product. I'm just telling you, whether it be on the
yeah.
field, whether it be and this is just another byproduct of them doing that to the
Yeah.
product. You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't want to harp on this too much longer because I do want to get to
yeah,
Clemson.
yeah, yeah. So
We could
I
we
guess
could talk. We'll talk more
going
about that. Go ahead.
my last thought on the topic was I think you mentioned it kind of briefly too of like, but at the same time, it is really hard to blame some of these players for maybe not caring the most when they know that the coaches are either gonna get paid $10 million employed or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like the coach, like when they know the coaches are getting paid so much money, and like if they don't do well they get fired and get paid anyway.
Right.
Like
I mean,
what is
it's
your motivation as a player
well,
to
and
care about their job?
and see, that's my thing of talking about a coach like Kalen DeBoer. It's like, look, I could stay at Washington and become like a legend, or I could go and get the biggest buyout ever, just to go like have some mediocre Alabama seasons and just stick around with that. I mean, I kind of understand it as far as like your agent fixing you up. That being said, let's switch to Clemson because I do think it is a good transitional point here. The reason I'm wearing this hat today is that my Syracuse Orange took down Clemson, which, as time is going on, by the end of the year, might not be that impressive of a win. By the end of the season, really, when you look at this now, a Clemson team that is playing abhorrently. But hey, I want some respect put on the Orange name. The Orange went in there and essentially clobbered the guys. They lost their starting quarterback and Jelly to do it, unfortunately. But I mean, heck, Ricky came in and was doing great too. They pretty much smacked them around, and of course they had the lightning delay, which ended up happening at the halftime. And I thought myself, surely Clemson's going to turn it on, and they never really did. Fran Brown's team was able take that extra motivation from running after winning against UConn, astonishingly, and take it into Death Valley and arguably hand Dabo his lowest moment since, I'd say, as a coach, probably at least since he's been at Clemson. Um, I don't know. Other than him first being hired and building up, I can't think of a time that they've been at this point this low. With what the expectations were and how bad it looks like the season could end up. People are already saying
Well,
this could be this year's Florida State last year.
yeah, I mean, probably.
You kept saying Dabo's cooked. He
There
might
was
actually be cooked.
there was that year with DJ. I think they disappointed pretty heavily and
Sure.
looked bad. But yeah, I mean, but I think this is worse because it's continued disappointing season upon disappointing season.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I mean,
It's bad.
I was just saying that I was a little surprised that that Oklahoma State fired Gunny in the middle of the season. So I guess I can't really be too shocked with whatever Clemson wants to do here. I mean,
They're not going to
I
fire
don't
Dabo in the middle of the season because he's won natties.
no no, but I'm also saying that like I don't know if you can fire him at all. I don't know what you do
True.
just because like if you win a title, like you can't like it feels almost like sacrilegious to fire a coach that won your school a title.
And did it
Like,
over Saban like twice. Like I mean that really is, yeah. I mean it really is impressive that he was able to build teams that did
yeah.
that, right? I don't necessarily know what Clemson the rest of their season looks like, but I can say as we kind of like talk about upcoming games, whatever's happened, we do have the ultimate mid-off this weekend with a game between North Carolina and Clemson, which was moved to noon. That I actually sent Casen a TikTok, folks,
Yeah.
this week, in which Nelly had already agreed contractually to do. Yeah, this is in Chapel Hill, by the way. It's in North Carolina. He had agreed to do um, a pre-game concert. Okay, this is Nelly, the hip hop recording artist. Nelly was going to do. Agreed to this. I don't know what time this game was at originally, but based on the 12 o'clock kickoff start, he now has to go on at like 9:40 in the morning. And I was like,
I
it's like,
I mean
hey man,
if I'm UNC, I'm like trying to void that deal because like I don't even want that spectacle to be happening with my
hey,
terrible program either.
it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna make for another
Like
great footnote
I
in the documentary series.
yeah, I mean I need to see Jordan dancing to Nelly at
Yes,
9:30 in the morning.
absolutely.
Um
At the tailgates, Nelly's going to go out there. It's going to be what it is. And then we're going to see probably what is going to be an atrocious football game between the Clemson Tigers and UNC Tar Heels. That's what I think will happen. Who wins that game? I don't care because neither one of
yeah.
those teams are good and aren't going to
Yeah.
contend for the ACC. But you know who is going to contend for the ACC, Cason? It is. Let's party like it's the mid 90s because the U is I don't want to say necessarily back. I think this is a new arrival of the U, the Mario Cristobal U. Um, and it's really
Yeah.
cool considering, he was an alumnus. He came back and he literally said the only thing that would probably cause him to leave Oregon would be to go to Miami. He did that. They're still good. Florida State's really good. They don't play this week, but they play next week. That's going to be amazing, I think. Florida State, Miami is a thing again.
Yeah.
You probably don't even remember when that was a really big rivalry. I do.
Yeah, it is very funny to like look at that under the context of like the the Florida Gators are terrible. And
Yep.
so it's like the two ACC programs are dominating and then the SEC one is just garbage.
Hey, let's be real. The two best football teams in the state of Florida this year are Miami and Florida State. The third is USF, legitimately.
Yeah.
USF is the third best team. And they showed that, by giving Miami something of a game and literally beating
Yeah.
Florida. So,
Yeah.
hey, hats off to the Bulls, man, because they're actually in poised to have a pretty good year in the American. So, uh, anything else you kind of want to dissect from the week? Go ahead.
So I mean I don't think there was really that much to talk about this past week. because there weren't really a ton of huge matchups. I
This
think
week,
the bigger conversation is tomorrow, uh,
Saturday,
uh,
by the time you hear this.
Saturday, when this comes out. And I wanted to lead off with the headline that I'm sure you've heard about. It's a ranked matchup in the Southeastern Conference.
Oh,
And
dude,
there's a bit of a real fun family drama situation
there is.
in the Ole Miss LSU matchup. Back if we go back a couple days,
Tell the people.
uh, eh, so Lane Kiffin, the head coach of Ole Miss,
The train.
has a daughter named Landry Kiffin,
Yep.
who I can assume is only named after Tom Landry. I would assume.
It's a good
Um,
name. I like that name.
uh,
Landry Jones
uh,
and others.
she posted on her Instagram, just sort of like a random photo dump of her life lately, and it included a photo of her sitting on the lap of LSU linebacker Whit Weeks.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's I guess now confirmed that they're together,
Yeah, they're dating.
and so yeah, that's a real fun dynamic of her dad as the Ole Miss coach. I believe she goes to Ole Miss, and her boyfriend, who's one of the better defensive players for LSU, is coming to town. Yeah. What do you do? What do you?
I saw.
Is she gonna roll up wearing a Weeks jersey? How do you handle
Well,
that?
it's funny because I did hear a clip from the sports gossipers.
Yeah,
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 they were funny
yeah.
about this, and it's like, oh, like they were even speculating, like, ooh, is like she a secret operative, like trying to learn about LSU and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And it's like, this is like tailor made for our show. When in reality, it's probably just, hey, they know each other, they both think each other are attractive. Hey, you want to start seeing each other? But apparently, she drove something like 5 hours to surprise him or something like that, which is objectively adorable. Hey, I must say, um, they're college kids in college. I'm not, and quite frankly, there's got to be nothing weirder than when you're in the working in college athletics. It's a little like I can tell you it is at times, especially at the level I work, more of a family business than it might seem. And when I say that, like we host events, you see the guys from the local restaurant at the game, you see like your friends, families of the players, of the people. I mean, it is a family affair. When win or lose, college games are that way. It's got to be even more so when you're the head coach of a place, but at the same time you also got to be like, if you're Lane Kiffin, it's like my daughter's going to live her life. That's what it is. How it affects my football team, that's my job. I just got to keep doing it.
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I
I
mean?
mean,
Like I'm kind of over here like, listen, her business is her business. I got to do my thing.
if anybody knows anything about Lane Kiffin,
Yeah,
the Lane train runs to like the beat of his own drum. He
100%.
doesn't really care, and so I'm sure he does not care what his kids do.
No, no.
And so, but it's just kind of funny. It's just
It's
like
funny because they're
it's a
gonna play
funny
each other.
headline.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's funny.
But the funnier story to me is that Lane went on Twitter and replied to a tweet about this and said, "Take the over." So, basically saying that he's going to try and like dominate the LSU defense and his daughter's boyfriend.
That's
So
awesome.
really funny, really funny. Uh, but
If I'm
yeah, I
one of
don't
his
know.
players,
I
I'm like,
mean,
well, thanks, coach. These
yeah,
games,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just
Uh,
yeah, if I'm on the lane train offense, I'm like, all right, well, their defense is about to be really annoying. Thanks for the bulletin board material.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, also this week we've got a lot of other big time
Oh yeah.
matchups. I mean, we've
Let's talk
got
about the other SEC game this weekend because whenever these two teams meet, it's absolutely insane, and that's Georgia and Alabama. Um, the,
yep,
the game is always ridiculous. I don't care like what's going on. I appreciate that it's 7:30 ABC. I assume that's the one that Chris and Kurt will be calling. I mean,
yeah.
that game is always ridiculous every single year. Back and forth, insane. You recall last year, Alabama put up like a whole bunch of numbers, and then Georgia kept clawing their way back, and then I believe Alabama stomped them out at the very end. But crazy plays back and forth. It's always nuts. That's the one I'm most looking forward to this weekend.
Uh, Yeah, let me. Jeez, I can't find the schedule here.
Yep. I just got the top
There we go.
25 up.
There we go.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. There's also the another good matchup is Oregon Penn State.
Yep.
I
I'm
mean
calling this Prove It Week, by the way. Prove It Week in that. Go ahead.
that's 7:30 on NBC. Uh, so I mean, they're both at 7:30. So I mean,
Double screen.
that'll be two massive matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon Penn State is going to be hugely determinative over the Big Ten standings.
I'm going to say
And
something that's not that light to say here. I think this is an emerging rivalry within the Big Ten because these two teams have met. They literally met in the Big Ten championship game last year.
mhm.
They've now had very decisive meetings with each other. I think that this could be an instant classic too. And I just look around. I'm like, man, Oregon and Penn State have got to be tired of each other. But yeah,
Did they play last year during the regular season?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't
They
think
play
so.
Ohio State played them.
Yeah. Um,
But then again, I just feel
but
like every meeting
look,
between Oregon and Ohio State and Penn State is just going to be crazy. So
yeah, I mean, Oregon's, yeah, I mean, Oregon's always it kind of had a bit of a relationship because like there's been different matchup stuff, but like it's Oregon's developing rivalries with Ohio State, with Penn State, which is good for the new look Big Ten. And yeah, I mean, it'll be curious because I think winner of this game definitely probably makes it to Indy in some capacity because like they're either going to be first or second to Ohio State, however they want to look that wants to look at the Big Ten standings.
for reputation purposes, I would call this a must win for Penn State. I don't think this is
Oh,
a must win for
yeah.
Oregon. I think Oregon's been proven and proven time again. Yeah, they got bludgeoned by Ohio State in the playoff last year, but it is what it is. Penn State literally
I
never wins games like this that they need to.
I would say in the context of like for Oregon needs the win to be able to like win the Big Ten and to
Right,
do
right.
stuff. But I don't think those are quite the expectations this year because like they had a lot of turnover and even though they're six, like they aren't talked about as like the number one title contender
No.
in the way that like Penn State has kind of been hyped up. And so yes, I agree with you that like for the vibes and the image, Penn State needs to win this because they came into the season with a lot of hype. And they were like, all right, well, Michigan did it, Ohio State did it, Penn State kind of in the same model. Like it's your turn, you do it. And again, it's one of the James Franklin things. It's are you ever going to win this game?
Yep.
And here we are.
Staying in the Big Ten. Uh I think Ohio State should be on upset alert. There, I said it.
I
There, I
I
said
don't yeah. I mean
it.
I don't love the travel all the way to Seattle. I don't love I mean look, I it's a tough place to win. You got the sailgating, you got I mean it's a unique environment. It's a tough place to play and I know that there's been a little bit of weird vibes the last couple of weeks. Um
All I will
I
say, yeah.
wouldn't be shocked. So
All,
yeah, I
all
mean
I will
it
say
is.
is that the
It
last time
is.
Ohio State team was highly touted and went to the Pacific Northwest during the middle of the season, they lost. That's all I will say. Against a
Well,
much better team last year.
if you're referring to the Oregon game last year, what did they end up doing to end the season?
Of course, they won exactly. Exactly.
So
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying.
which again, like we mentioned earlier, like because of the way the season and the schedule works now, that doesn't matter. They
Yep.
can lose to Washington and nothing even matters anymore.
By the way, can I just say I just love looking at the passing leaders of that game. It just says Jay saying, and it's just like I immediately think, oh yeah, obviously
Just
Julian saying,
saying.
but it's like, oh, just saying.
Yeah.
It's just so
Yeah.
good. Like that name is just incredible. So yeah, there's that. Got to talk about this because this is a lead over from last week. Don't be surprised if Indiana doesn't do the exact same thing to Iowa they did to Illinois last week. I really believe that. Um,
Yeah.
they're a bunch of
Yeah.
dogs. Any thoughts on Indiana?
Um I mean
Doors
I
blown off.
well I mean I don't think I was particularly good, so I don't know if I mean as of now, I mean Iowa is favored by 8.5. So I don't, I wouldn't be shocked because I don't think
Indiana
it's that out of the
Indiana's
realm of
favored by eight and
possibility.
a half.
Or
Indiana's
so
favored.
that's what I meant.
Yeah, yeah,
Indiana.
yeah. The
Um,
other I
uh,
school.
uh, and so yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. The bigger question to me remains how legitimate is Indiana, because a lot like last year, it was like, okay, does this mean anything?
Hmm.
Because it's like, have you played anybody? Do these wins actually mean anything? Because it was like the thing with Indiana was the second they played anybody good, it was like, okay, well, you're not quite as dominant as we thought.
You say that, but I'll say this one stat that I'm just going to say for the rest of everyone in the room or country, whatever. Indiana lost 2 games last year to the 2 teams that played for the national championship. That was it. They bludgeoned everybody else, destroyed everybody else. So the second that they can create less of that separation, I'm with you. Like it's sort of like the second you face anyone good. I would argue that they just played a good team, an overrated team, but they beat them 63-10. So it's sort of like, okay, well, Indiana's got some
Well,
test threat later this year. They have Oregon, they have Penn State.
I
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, so if Oregon beats Penn State and Indiana beats Iowa, I would love to see game day in Eugene next week. I'd love to see. I mean, that would be a huge matchup of top 5 Oregon, top 10 Indiana. Like that'd be massive.
it would be
Or
massive. It would also be incorrect though, because if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
yes,
sorry, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, two
I was
weeks.
gonna say, no, 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 no. I was just gonna say you have 2 weeks. I was gonna say game day next week should only be in Tallahassee, Florida. Just saying.
Oh, I 2 weeks.
Yeah,
You get my point though. Yeah.
just saying.
Um.
But
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
with you. I'm with you. I get you. That's just it will also be that week. So, um, yeah, great stuff. Anything else? Improve it
Uh.
week.
I mean, I think that's most of what I had looking at this week.
I will.
I
Go
mean, there's the only other ranked matchup I believe is a USC Illinois, which Illinois, I think after that loss to Indiana, I don't think they're legitimate contenders or good.
Sure.
I mean,
Um, as for teams I love, Bowling Green goes into their max schedule this week. They're 2-2. They have won and lost to exactly who people thought they would. Pudge the
yeah.
Cat is out, so and they're going against the defending MAC champs. So I don't know, but this is the first time we really get to see how good the teams in the MAC are when they go against each
I
other. Go ahead.
I will say, I mean, we looked good against Cincinnati and Louisville. Like we didn't look bad against like relatively competitive mid
We
Power
didn't look
Five
inept. I mean, the
programs.
Louisville game pretty much got out of hand pretty quickly, but to be expected. Where I would argue the Cincinnati game never really did. So yeah, I mean, it's what it is. It's whatever. The BG won their FCS game. They beat Liberty, who Liberty looks like they're pretty down this year, but still, this will be the first time we really get to see how good, because Ohio's had a really impressive non-conference. Beating West Virginia, somewhat impressive. I mean, I get it, but beat West Virginia. They gave a game to Ohio State. They did for 3 quarters, and so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And it's in Peden Stadium at Ohio. And for Syracuse, hey man, Fran Brown's team is rolling with Ricky the rest of the year because Angeli's out for the year. Look for Syracuse to be a playoff team next year. I'm calling it now. Um, you're laughing. I think Syracuse could be contending for the ACC next year. I really
I
believe.
no, I mean I don't think that's a stretch because I mean if he gets them to be like really competitive this year and then people want to come play for him, I mean you can get a transfer class and turn your entire roster around in an offseason.
Yeah.
So it's definitely possible. I mean it's definitely possible.
Well, I don't necessarily think they would need to turn the entire roster around. They don't have the horses to go against like a Miami this year, a Florida State probably, but Syracuse is always looked at as a pretty attractive location for even warm weather guys because they play in a dome. They do, and a lot of your road games are in the South. And once you hit conference play. So it's an attractive place to recruit. It always has been as far as like the digs for football. Every home game is going to be in a dome. So it's just super attractive. And not to mention one of the most iconic venues in college sports. Like it is. So yeah, I don't know. I just I think Fran Brown has showed his colors big time. They lost to Tennessee and then they've won 3 straight games. I'm excited to see what he can do with this really hard schedule. And just as a fan, it was really cool to see what they did last week. And Fran Brown in his first attempt wins in Death Valley. So yeah, what was that? So do you want to switch to the ball that's played on Sundays
Yeah, let's get
to
to it.
wrap things up? Well, Casen, another week of NFL. I want to hear you talk about, and we can talk about both this week, next week, whatever. The Browns won. The Browns beat the Packers. I want to hear you talk about it.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Yeah, I think it was a surprise to a lot of people, especially the Packers,
Yeah.
and probably even the Browns to an extent. Um, it's it's frustrating watching the Browns because even in the first couple games that we lost, it was clear that like this is a top five defense and like the offense is like bottom three. So it's like what in the world is happening? Uh and so it was just frustrating to watch because it's just like if you had even a remotely half competent offense, then like you'd be a playoff team. But that's the struggle. And so I think um I think it'll be a lot of gross games, but I mean if the defense can continue playing that well and keep us in games, then we'll see. But yeah, I mean it was a stressful ending to a game and it shocking, um, but awesome with with the
The,
block, which it was a crazy like half an hour in the league because there were like three different block kicks
yeah, there were.
like in three different games. It was crazy.
The Browns are
And
1-0 in their brown uniforms. They're all
I
Browns.
I did say that too. I was like the worst part about this is that now these brown helmet uniforms are going to go down into like lore
They
with the
are.
franchise,
They
and so we're
are.
going to keep breaking them out
Yep, they're
because
gonna
now they're lucky.
you guys are gonna be rocking that through the playoffs.
Cause,
If you guys
because
are
because the funny thing is that I don't think we've won in those white ones. Like we wore
Oh yeah,
the
the
white
the white
uniforms
helmets,
and then
yeah.
the white helmets, and I don't think we've won in them at all.
And
And
I
so
I told like a Browns fan recently, I was like, I kind of like the white helmets, and that Browns fan was like, I don't because we're always losing them. And I was like,
yeah,
well, I mean, you say that like you don't always lose in general, but yes, I get that. Low hanging fruit, I know, whatever. But so there's that. Let's see. Steelers won, but I still think the Steelers are not that good. Straight up. First win in
yeah.
Foxborough since like 2008 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not the same because it's not the Patriots of old. But I still don't like the Patriots. So I was happy to see that happen. I did want to talk about this also in our division. The Bengals lost 48-10 to the Vikings, looking very vulnerable now that they don't have a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Look for that to be the norm for the rest of the year for Cincinnati Bengals, as we talked about last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the best game of the week by far, the Lions topped the Ravens in Baltimore, showing very much that they still have the capacity to literally win games without Ben Johnson. But what are you saying?
Well, I was just gonna say, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the Bengals are probably gonna start tanking here,
Yeah,
and then they'll be in a position to draft Caleb Downs, to bolster up the defense, which will be scary until Joe Burrow gets injured game two next year. So
yeah,
it's,
or
uh,
retires.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
it,
But yeah,
it, it
I
is
mean,
tough.
the Ravens are interesting. Um, and the fact of like they've now lost two really close games against other really good teams,
Hmm.
and so they're like a weird 1-3 or 1-2, and so it's really weird. It's
Yeah,
really weird.
I think the
There's a
Ravens are
lot of
definitely
weird starts to
beatable.
the season. Um, Yeah, I mean, not to look forward too much, but the 1 and 2 versus 1 and 2 matchup between the Ravens and the Chiefs is kind of bizarre and crazy.
It is
And
bizarre, especially when you considering that teams like the Lions, the Bills,
yeah,
Chiefs, potentially, maybe not this year, but historically, recently, are teams that the Ravens would need to have the ability to beat in the down stretch of the season. And they've now come out and lost two close games to the Bills and Lions, and defeating the Browns at home is kind of whatever. Um, I think that's more interesting, especially considering that the rest of Baltimore's schedule is relatively easy outside of our division games, just which are always nuts. So I don't know. I think it's telling that the few tests we get this year, when you see a team that's supposed to be a contender, not look like one so far, it's just interesting. Not to mention that Derrick Henry can't stop fumbling the ball apparently. Um, but
I
yep.
which that's going to be a problem
Mm-hmm.
because that the Chiefs defense looks to be like getting back into form and toughening up. And so we'll see if there are a couple forced fumbles with him next week or this coming week. And we'll see. I don't know.
Looking ahead, I am excited because the Steelers and Vikings will be kicking off at 9:30 a.m. in Ireland this week.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That'll be fun, especially considering I do have to work on Sunday. So I'll be able to watch pretty much that entire
Yeah.
game and then go do that, which will be cool.
We've
Yeah,
got a kegs and eggs party here with some
really
family friends.
cool.
So
That's
because
awesome.
my in-laws friends are Vikings fans, and so
Nice.
there's a Vikings Steelers like thing going on. And I
Very
was like,
cool.
"Well, we're doing this next week for the Browns game."
That's funny. That's really cool though. That's awesome. Great plans. And honestly, like, I would imagine like there's so many folks from Ireland. There's so many, there's so many connections between Pittsburgh and Ireland. There's a lot of Irish people in Pittsburgh. A lot of descents of Irish immigrants. People forget, but. I want to say it was President Obama's first term because I don't know if he was the entire 8 years. Dan Rooney was the ambassador to Ireland for the administration. So, there is a connection there with the Rooney family and Ireland and Irish roots and everything. I don't know if the Vikings have similar kind of ties to Ireland either, but either way, I mean, I jokingly, anytime we play the Vikings, it's like rematch of Super Bowl IX or whatever it was.
Something that I haven't really seen talked a lot about
Hmm.
is the whole Aaron Rodgers of it all, of Aaron Rodgers versus the Vikings conversation.
Oh yeah.
Because like that, I haven't really seen that headline talked about too much, but
Well, and Aaron
just because it's kind of
Rodgers,
interesting.
yeah, and Aaron Rodgers hit his mark. Like what he's tied, I think, the touchdown record now. So, I mean, if you would have told me that he was going to do this in the black and gold a couple years ago, I would have said you were crazy. But so be it. If the season chugs along, I still think the Steelers are mid at best. But the Steelers, they Steeler it up. Last thing I wanted to talk to you about today, just because I do find it interesting, is have we seen the last of Russell Wilson in the NFL? Period. Because that has been talked about this week. And I had a student tell me this week, like, is he at the point now where he's kind of played his way out of the Hall of Fame? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know because I just want to hear your
I
thoughts on any of that stuff.
I don't know because I'll say this: I watched I think almost all of the Giants Chiefs game,
Okay.
and
I did not, so I'd be interested to hear.
I was a little surprised that he got benched
Mm,
because he was not the reason they lost that game.
okay.
Like that was a winnable game for the Giants. Like because the Chiefs, like okay, the thing with the Chiefs that's so frustrating to watch them is that like they play like a good team that just plays like garbage all the time. Like you like knowing the roster and knowing the potential and like you can see it happening here and there of like they're good. It's just like they've got some issues on the line and so it's Mahomes can't quite get the extra second that he has been accustomed to throw it, and so it's just they're just a little bit out of whack. But like there, you can see there's a good team in there, but they just play like garbage so much. And so it was just kind of like it was like when you see a team constantly giving the game away and then the other team refusing to take it. like
Yeah.
like like there was the one play that I'm sure you saw of Mahomes threw a backwards pass that ended up being considered a fumble to
Yes.
Pacheco, and then the defensive player picked it up and was running towards the end zone, and then Mahomes grabbed it out of his hand. Like
Yeah, I
that was
saw that play.
essentially a summarization of that whole game,
Yes.
of like Mahomes just throwing the game away and then being like, "Oh, never mind, I'll take it back."
Or maybe
Like
just the Chiefs
that
in
was the
general
game.
right now. Like,
And so
like
and so I was actually like not that I was a little impressed with Russ, to be perfectly honest, because it was like he wasn't looking terrible. Like he looked serviceable enough to play him as long as you wanted to not throw Jackson out there
mm,
too early. And because that was a big conversation that Collinsworth was having too. He was like you don't want to put him in that position to where he's playing too early, and you could end up costing him development
yeah.
from and I the I to me this is a coach and GM decision made for their jobs, which is unfortunate. Like it,
Yeah.
it felt to me like there was a conversation to where we need to throw this Hail Mary to save our jobs, which everybody said that coming in because everybody was like, Dayball's on the hot seat coming into the year. And so everybody and their brother knew this was happening, or knew it was going to happen this way. Of they were going to start slow, look bad, bench Russ, and put Dart in too early, and then he's going to look like garbage. Daboll fired by Thanksgiving. Like that. This is what's going to happen. I mean, it's a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Like rookie quarterback gets played too early, gets ruined, coach fired, game over.
Two teams I want to just touch on real quick before we get out of here. I think the Chargers are legit, and they're a large reason why my fantasy team is 3-0 along with them. I think they legitimately are finding ways to grind out games. They just completed the trifecta of beating all three of their division opponents 1, 2, 3 like it was nothing to start the season. They now play the Giants, Commanders, Dolphins, Colts, which that could be a huge game come October 19th, because that was the other team I wanted to talk about. Colts are still 3-0, rolling with the Irsay trio of incredible ownership, which we talked about last week. Keep your eyes on it, man, because the Colts look like a wagon again. And again, as we gushed about them last week. We don't need to do it again now. Just saying, keep your eyes
Look,
open.
I mean, in in a very weak and winnable division like they're
100%.
in, I mean, it is easy to see them winning it.
It should be theirs. Theirs are the Texans, but it should be theirs. I mean,
Well, I'm saying with the
barring
Texans,
everything goes yeah,
with the Texans not looking good,
correct.
the Colts are well primed position to take it this year.
Right. So that's all I got. This will drop on a Saturday, this show. Another week talking ball with my buddy Casen, and just all things with our show. You have any final thoughts, man, as we roll out of here?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess I guess I'll end it. Go go Browns, go Chiefs.
So you're teetering now. You're teetering on this stupid thing you do every year. It's only week 3. You can't be doing this now. Um, and at this point, I think you just do it to annoy me.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
All right. Yeah. All right. All
yes.
right. All right.
But no, well, okay, well, I will say this though too is we both want the Chiefs to win Sunday because we
Yeah,
want them to beat Baltimore.
we do. We
So
do. I will end by saying, since our last show, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix was this past weekend, and Oscar Piastri, who is the leader right now to probably take over Max Verstappen as the Formula One champion of the world, crashed right into the wall on his second turn of the race
ooh,
and was out immediately. causing Verstappen to go pole to pole, as they say. Uh,
It's
and yeah, and I watched most of that race with my mom here when she visited, which just goes to show, sort of like the old adage by the great boomer Chris Berman. That's why they play the game. That's why they race the race because
mhm.
you just never know, man. And that caused him to not get any points. It's still a three neck race between Verstappen's not totally out of the picture, which would be insane if he comes out of nowhere and pulls a Guardians to win. That would actually be devastating for McLaren. You've Piastri still there. You have Lando Norris still there. And you still have Alex Albon actually for Williams that's hanging around as well. So just throwing it out there. It was a wild occurrence last week. Um, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So that's what we got. Enjoy your football weekend. It'll be Saturday by the time you hear this. So till next time, this is Kellan,
This is Casen.
and we'll see you as always at the next stop.